Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer, and I'm here today to talk all about this full moon in Sagittarius happening on the 3rd or the 4th of June, just depending on where you live. So, yes, welcome. I cannot wait to share this information with you all. I hope you're having a good start to your week. So, this is actually a Monday that we're doing this. I usually like to do these videos at the weekend, but seeing as I did the June forecast at the weekend, I decided to, do this one today. So, I hope you're doing well. Also, just make sure to give this video a like if you do like it today. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Click the notification bell to keep yourself updated with more videos just like this. And so, with that being said, let's get into this. Hello, Danielle. Welcome. I hope you are doing really well and that you had a nice weekend. The same goes for everyone out there. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Okay, so the full moon in Sagittarius, 3rd of June it says there, but in some areas the 4th of June. All right, so this is going to be quite the exciting full moon. Okay, but before we do really dive into this and look at the overview, I just want to remind you of the Cosmic Warriors Club. So the June horoscopes are available there now. So if you want access to your June horoscopes, go to the Cosmic Package. And there's also a full moon in Sagittarius written report up at the moment. And you can get access to that as well over at the Cosmic Warriors Club. And another thing with this is there will be a live stream tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about Venus retrograde in Leo. Venus will be entering Leo on the 5th of June. So that's not too far away. So there's going to be a talk all about that tomorrow night, so the 30th of May at 6 p.m. BST. So for only £5, you will gain access to that session, and you'll even gain access to all of those other sessions. You'll even gain access to a session that will be up in the next 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about Saturn retrograde in Pisces and also Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So anyways, I just wanted to let you know about the club, and if you're interested in more content, more information, more in-depth information, you can ask me questions, all that good stuff, head over to cosmicwarriorsclub.com. Okay, so this is the overview. So we have a lot going on during this full moon. So for one, we're going to be looking at the fact that the sun and moon will oppose one another at 13 degrees, creating the number 4 in numerology. And the sun and moon will also square Saturn in Pisces. Okay, so there will be this T-square going on between the mutable signs, a mutable sign T-square, which we will get into. And there will also be this sextile to Jupiter and the North Node in Taurus. Of course, Jupiter is the dispositor of this full moon because Jupiter rules Sagittarius in astrology. And then Jupiter, you see, will conjunct the North Node then in Taurus, and it will also oppose the South Node in Scorpio. So you can see there to the right. And then another thing is Neptune in Pisces will actually sextile Mercury in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus too. So we'll be touching on that. And then with Mercury, Mercury will conjunct Uranus there. And if I just move up this way so I can see, and then there will also be that sextile to Venus as well with Mercury and Uranus. So we will touch on that. Venus will be in Cancer for another few degrees. Of course, Venus, like I said, will be entering Leo very, very soon. And another interesting thing about this is there will be a grand fire trine between, of course, the fire signs. So there will be the moon in Sagittarius, Mars in Leo, and then Chiron in Aries. And then there will also be these sextiles being made to the sun. So we're going to be talking about that. I mean, that even looks at more of this easier flowing energy going on, but we'll get into it. And then the last thing I want to say here is that the grand fixed cross, it's still happening. It's still going on. We're still going to feel its impacts at least up until the couple of weeks into June, because Venus is going to enter Leo. And then that's going to be a part of this fixed cross as well. And of course, with the grand fixed cross, Jupiter is in Taurus there, the North Node also, and then the South Node is in Scorpio, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and then Mars in Leo. So the fixed signs. Right, so before we get into all of those aspects and all of those details, you know how I like to do it here. I like to go into detail when it comes to these videos, which I hope you find to be helpful. But like I said, I just realized I forgot my water. I do not have water sitting by me. I'm thinking, my throat is a bit dry. It's okay. It's okay. We will work with it. So the full moon will take place at 13 degrees. So adding to the number 4 within astrology. And the number 4 within numerology, sorry. And the number 4 in numerology points to things like dedication, structure, okay? Structure, organization, building, discipline, authority. And we can even sort of see this as quite aligned even with the fact that there is a grand fixed cross going on. And the reason why I say this is because with the grand fixed cross, it's very firm. You know, if you can think of just that shape within itself, it's very firm. And then with the grand fixed cross, you know, of course, happening in fixed signs can be quite stuck. It's like, right, this is stable energy, this is consistent energy. And there is this sort of determination when it comes to the fixed signs. And we can even then see with the number 4, if you can imagine it just like, you know, a square, right? And a house that's built, there is this grounded energy to it. There's this firmness to it. So I would say with this full moon in Sagittarius, there's an element of building here, okay? There's an element of having to be somewhat disciplined or structured, and even looking at our dedication to things being tested. It's almost like we're being pushed beyond our limits right now. There is this sort of stagnation going on with that grand fixed cross. And so there's this sort of element of the grand fixed cross making us really look at the structure, the foundation of things. And the number 4 also adds to this. Now, with full moons, of course, look at things like resetting, releasing, shedding old skin, closing chapters, reaping rewards here, you know, clarity, shining a light on things, illuminating things, strong emotions can come up. But there's also that element of balance because, of course, the sun is opposite and we're still in Gemini season. So now that we kind of have looked at these major keywords, let's think about Sagittarius and what Sagittarius is all about. So these are just some keywords to do with Sagittarius. And so I'm just going to sort of run through how I see this overall. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to just grab my water. Okay. I'm going to grab it because I do feel my throat getting a little bit dry. So it'll be 2 seconds. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Okay. All right. So as I said, these are the keywords tied to Sagittarius. So what could this look like? Well, I think that this is a full moon where we're going to be resetting how we look at the bigger picture, possibly resetting our future visions, our future aspirations. Also thinking about closing chapters to do with any sort of beliefs that we have, deeply held beliefs about ourselves, about the world around us. Perhaps there are many beliefs right now that almost feel as if they are keeping us us back. They are sort of keeping us stagnant. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of that whole south node, north node push and pull. And I think that with the dispositor of this full moon, which is Jupiter, being in Taurus, making the conjunction to the North Node, it's sort of highlighting, okay, well, how about you perhaps assess what it is that truly supportive energy, what stabilizes you. But there needs to be something that gives, right? There needs to be this sort of leaving something behind or addressing an issue that is holding you back, and then being able to move forward, right? So if we even consider how Sagittarius is such a forward facing, forward moving sign, it's like, right, okay, think of the archer. You're pulling that bow and arrow, or you're pulling that the arrow back, and you're shooting it toward a specific target, and it's supposed to go in this forward motion. So I think that there is something here about us having the courage, in a way, having the ability to push forward into a new territory, to do something that liberates us, to do something that can provide us with freedom. And maybe it's that something needs to be released in order to experience that freedom. And perhaps, something to consider with releasing is dogma. Sagittarius can be this kind of sign that can showcase these dogmatic beliefs, these dogmatic thoughts about the world. And there can also be this intellectual superiority when it comes to Sagittarius, this sort of judgment, this high and mighty demeanor. And maybe there is something then to be said about us addressing such things within ourselves and assessing here how such beliefs about us and about the world around us can actually keep us back from experiencing greater curiosity, greater joy, greater enthusiasm. If we even think about the sun being in Gemini, we are in Gemini season during this full moon. And it looks like curiosity. The sign of Gemini is very much about, okay, let me change my mind here. Let me discover new pieces of information to add to the bigger picture. I just find it really fascinating with Sagittarius because it's so much about understanding and knowledge and growth and being open-minded as well, I would say, to an extent. But there can also be that side to Sagittarius that can come across as I know better, or there's the judgment involved, and that within ourselves, that part of ourselves can perhaps limit us and keep us from questioning new ways of doing things, new modes of being. So yeah, perhaps there is something here about resetting or releasing, dogma. But another thing with this is, well, perhaps it's that we will reap rewards to do with enthusiasm, to do with positivity, to do with our faith, So that's something to consider as well. Of course, when we talk about astrology and the signs, things can be so incredibly nuanced. And even the reason why I say that it can be so incredibly nuanced is because you could talk about the grand fixed cross for someone, and you think of how, this person may be really struggling here. I know for me, with the grand fixed cross, things have been quite resistant and stagnant, but then somebody else could be experiencing it in a completely different way, maybe because of their placements and because of where things are within their own chart. So yeah, basically things can be so nuanced. So going back to what I was saying, perhaps this is also about us reaping rewards actually to do with our faith, to do with our beliefs. Reaping rewards also to do with positivity and being hopeful, feeling hopeful. And I do think that this full moon is a moon of hope. It's a moon of having faith, and it kind of represents this turning point for many of us, or it can feel like, you know what, oh, just this breathing out energy. I can breathe, I feel more free. I feel more open. I can actually relax, right? Jupiter also being in Taurus, there's this type of relaxation and learning lessons, valuable lessons to do with relaxation and how important that can be for many of us. But yeah, it can just feel as though a weight is lifted. And there has been so much intensity over the past few months with what has been going on, right? Um, so yeah, there is this type of release, I would say, through a lens of I can breathe, I can breathe, and illuminating possibly where in our lives we're so illuminating where it is within our lives that we can't breathe, or is it that there's anything that we would like more freedom within, or is it that we would like to explore more, or we would like to do something outside of our comfort zone, and then another thing is perhaps being rewarded for really being somewhat positive, and when I think about this more, because things have been so testing and challenging over the past few weeks, those who have really held on to, maybe a more positive outlook, maybe there will be a breakthrough. Maybe there will be something, something will come along and be really helpful and improving, or we'll be guided in a whole new way. But yeah, this is a moon that is really going to illuminate these types of things, really shine a light on these types of things. And of course, as well, with Sagittarius, it's very much assigned to do with experience and sharing our stories and storytelling, right? Sagittarians are such storytellers, and they can provide so much wisdom through their stories, through their message. So, within this way, perhaps it's that we will feel quite strongly about our experiences, about the lives that we have lived, the paths that we have walked. If we go back to the whole positivity thing, again, life is so nuanced, and just because one person holds on to positivity and is more optimistic, and things work out for them, there's perhaps other people who aren't so positive, but things could still work out for them, Yeah, it just, I think with Sagittarius, it's such an expansive sign, and it really does take into consideration the lives that every individual person walks. There is this sort of looking at, okay, well, I'm on my journey. I'm following this particular path in this direction, and it may be different to what you're doing. And yeah, there's just this being able to assess that everyone has their own life to live. And then, like I said, there is this thing about Sagittarius looking at the bigger picture, really considering the bigger picture. And so within this way, perhaps we'll even close certain chapters to do with the bigger picture, because of a new understanding, because of a new awareness, because we are able to develop something more, even if we think about Sagittarius and how it's connected with more of something. Wherever Jupiter is, wherever Sagittarius is, it can look at the increasing of things, the expansion of things. So, yeah, perhaps there is something here to be said about us seeing things in a very different way because of a new experience, because of a new opportunity, because another door opens for us. Yeah. It may be hard to see. It may be hard to see, because I know, personally speaking, so just speaking from my own experience here, with how stagnant things have felt within my own life over the past few weeks, it is really challenging for me to think about things changing. When you're in this time period of, oh, I feel like nothing's moving. Things are not moving the way I want them to move. That can be quite testing, and it can bring up a lot of fear and worry and anxiety. And I've been really trying my best not to indulge in the anxiety or to give in to those anxieties, and to instead focus on what I can do, etc. I was talking about this in the June forecast. But yeah, it can be hard to keep the faith, it can be hard. But at the same time, I suppose there's something quite humbling in being able to just let just to let things unfold as they should. And you never know, we could be surprised. We could be surprised, but still, with the North Node, Jupiter conjunct the full moon in Sagittarius, I just can't help but think that there is something more bigger and increasing and perhaps improving just upon the horizon. Is that the way you put it? Upon the horizon. Something is coming, basically, that we can look forward to. This is what I'm getting. And even if this is not the case, this is the type of energy that Sagittarius radiates. It's like, yes, yes, hold on to faith, hold on to faith. Things are going to improve, things are going to get better. I gotta just keep positive here. Now, the last thing I want to mention to do with this, okay, that is to do with this full moon highlighting the part of us that can release this whole um overdoing it, overextending ourselves, um having so many visions and dreams, and, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. This is so Sagittarius. Even Gemini as well, it's like, oh, I'm so curious about this, I'm going to try this. Mutable energy. But is there really a set out kind of way to get there, or is it that we're being too caught up in a fantasy or in an ideal? Our Jupiter energy can be so idealistic. Maybe there's even an element of this pouring over into that Jupiter and Taurus energy, where it's like, I want the house, and I want the money, and I want the car, you know. But then maybe there's a little bit of having to just go all on its own time. Jupiter and Taurus is like, just be patient, just wait it out, just be steady. Yes, maybe you have certain desires and dreams and aspirations, but just try to remain here. Just try to ground yourself here. So, yeah, perhaps these types of themes will come up during this full moon. All right, so let's get into these aspects, shall we? Okay, so like I said, Mars. So Mars will trine. It's going to trine the moon. And then, so Mars will be in Leo. It's going to trine this full moon. And then Mars and Leo will also make a sextile to the sun. So what does this look like? This looks like us finally taking action on something, or being spontaneous, or being hopeful. This is what I'm saying. It feels like change is upon us, a turning point. It feels as though we want to break free. We want to finally release ourselves from this stagnation. And there is this curiosity during this full moon stimulating our minds. I mean, ever since Gemini season started on the 21st of May, I have been really stimulating my mind. Podcasts, YouTube videos, websites, reels, books. Yeah. And I'm really just going toward whatever grabs my attention or whatever I feel like I'm curious about. But then that within itself can be quite distracting. So that's the thing, I suppose, with Gemini energy. It can be quite distracting. We can become scattered, distracted. I mean, just whilst I was talking all about those full moon and Sagittarius themes, which I could talk way more about, of course, but we have a time limit. But whilst I was going through it, I could feel my my train of thought just going off. Flip, flip, remember, what was that thought? Catch that thought. So Gemini, right? So yeah, I think that during this full moon, there is this extra stimulation of our minds and just being super, super curious. I mean, even with the moon in Sagittarius, it creates this expansive energy. Wherever Sagittarius is, like I said, it can expand whatever it touches. So with the moon being in Sagittarius, there's this sort of expansion when it comes to wanting to understand, wanting to learn, wanting to grow. And then with it opposing, of course, the sun in Gemini, it just adds to that mental stimulation. And even just adding to communication overall. I mean, even if we look at Mars is in Leo, and then that's making the sextile. So this could be where we are extra courageous and bold with our words when it comes to communication. Maybe we're more playful with our words. We want to entertain other people, and we also want to be seen. Okay, we want to be seen for what we say, seen for how we communicate, and at the same time, fighting words. Fighting words. If we also consider how the moon being in Sagittarius can, well, it can look like us not necessarily thinking before we share how we feel or sharing how we feel on such a grand level. And then with Mars being there as well, it can come out as just very performative or exaggerative, extra exaggerative. I mean, Sagittarius is already such an exaggerative sign. But Leo in the mix, this adds more fire. And with Mars being in Leo, more heat. Yeah, I would say that we may feel very personally about certain things, especially during this full moon, and we may be more bold about our wants and about our needs as well. It's like, no, listen to me. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm communicating. Oh, that's your advice to me, or that's what you want to say to me. Cool, cool. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm still going to think this way, and you're not going to change. Yeah. And then another thing is words of self-defense, right? So if we feel as though we're being personally attacked, or if someone is trying to belittle us, right? Mars and Leo, the ego and everything, there can be this thing of, okay, well, I'm gonna say it with my words, and I'm gonna make it very, very clear that you do not treat me like that. But at the same time, with Leo and Sagittarius also comes this very uplifting energy, where we can uplift ourselves, we can uplift those around us. Maybe it even depends on the mood that we're in, because the thing with Gemini is that it can be such a moody sign. Gemini season can be such a moody season because Geminis change so much. They change so much. And so it could be where during this full moon, things are just so changeable in terms of our moods, understanding other people. You know, how do we really get along here? Are we on the same page here? Oh, no, we're not on the same page. Okay, well, I don't know what to do about that, but I'm just going to keep talking anyway. Many opinions during this full moon. I mean, the sun is in Gemini and the full moon is in Sagittarius. Another thing is it could be where we are very playful. We're fun, right? There's this fun energy floating around. with especially having Mars in Leo, things can be fun and we may experience even greater joy and happiness with the moon making that trine to Mars. But it's not just about feeling joy and happiness, it's also about pursuing it. It's also about doing something in order to feel happy, in order to feel joy, experience joy, and to entertain ourselves as well in ways where we're being more adventurous, we're doing things outside of our comfort zone. That's another thing with the full moon being in Sagittarius. We may set, I was going to say set new intentions, new moon, haha. We may reap rewards to do with adventure, or we may even illuminate adventure, more adventure in our lives, or close a chapter to do with anything adventurous or anything to do with us um, being outside of our comfort zone. And yeah, there can be that changeable energy then, and welcoming in that newness within itself. Okay, another thing is feeling conflicted about the smaller details, which is very Gemini, versus the bigger picture. Okay, it could be this sort of back and forth, this push and pull, considering, okay, well, these are the facts and the figures, this is the data, this is the research, these are all the little bits that go into the information, but then this is the bigger picture over here, and this is my bigger vision, this is my understanding about it, but maybe there's something I didn't quite catch there, to do with the facts, to do with the figures, or maybe it's that some facts and figures, yes, facts and figures are important, but still, the bigger picture should be considered too. So there could be that going on, the kind of back and forth. And then there's also this feeling of refusing to be tied down, refusing to feel trapped. I just feel like this full moon is going to be quite explosive, right? If you think about it, Mars will be making a trine to the moon. And then if we also consider how so many of us have felt just really limited, like, oh, it's so stagnant, nothing's moving. But then it could be where we feel like, you know what, I am done with feeling limited. I am done with feeling stuck. I'm actually going to do something here. I'm going to do something to feel better. I'm going to do something to lift myself up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to find a new way here because I am beating a dead horse. It's with Taurus season, right? Something that really came up for me during Taurus season was this whole idea of beating a dead horse, just doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and expecting different results. It's that whole thing of I can't remember the terminology or the saying, but it's along the lines of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And Taurus season, I think, highlighted this theme, this message. But then coming into Gemini season, right, we've been greeted with this grand fixed cross, and it's kind of saying, okay, well, you maybe need to consider here, what are your values? What's your meaning? What's your purpose? What are your intentions? A lot of inner reflection, having to address things. But the full moon in Sagittarius is going to come along, I think, and it's just going to go, I need to break free. I need to break free. And then there's also this whole element of there's no turning back now. It could be where so many of us just take a leap of faith. We completely take this leap of faith. We take a chance on something, or we try something that is so completely outside of our comfort zone, which kind of sounds conflicting with, it sounds contradictory to the Jupiter in Taurus energy, because that's so much about stability and security and everything. But then with the North Node, that's also about, okay, doing something outside of your comfort zone. And then Jupiter's also kind of about that as well. So yeah, I just think that there's a certain change that is up ahead. And what I would say too with this is perhaps this is about us celebrating ourselves. Celebrating ourselves. Maybe this is even about us giving ourselves a big pat on the back, because it's like, whew, that was something. That was a lot. But you know what? We made it. Yes. See the silver lining. Keep it positive, guys. I am laughing about that, but then internally I'm like, ah. Okay. So let's then move on to this grand fire trine. So there will be Chiron in Aries, Mars in Leo, Moon in Sagittarius. And what we're noticing with this grand fire trine is freeing ourselves from something painful, freeing ourselves from something that perhaps is quite wounding. Even thinking about where we have been wounded. Of course, this is Chiron. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, but it's time to let whatever that is go. It is time to hopefully leave something in the past for good, but in this beneficial way. There's a lot of releasing going on here, and with that release really does come this forward motion, and that thing may be exhausting, it may be draining. So not only is there the part of this where we're feeling like, oh, I want to change something. I need to break free from this very stagnant energy right now, which we're still going to sort of be in, right? But there's also the element then of Chiron being in Aries, and then with the trine being made to the moon, there is this sort of release. And this is a story that we have been experiencing for a long time. But this, I think, is about looking at things, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, looking at things in a whole new way, really looking at the bigger picture this time, gaining a different perspective, a different understanding about our identity, about our self assertion, about our courage, our bravery, right? We think about Mars as well, making that trine to Chiron. So there are big themes here to do with, okay, right, my sense of self, my individuality, my independence, my freedom. Fire is just very much about, I want to do something that makes me feel alive, right? I want to do something that makes me feel alive. And I have so much energy and I have so much passion and I want to use it. Let me use it. So this full moon in Sagittarius is going to bring up these themes, I think. Now, with that being said, do consider how Venus will station retrograde in Leo from the 22nd of July to the 3rd of September. And during that retrograde, it will eventually trine Chiron retrograde in Aries. And I put a date there, the 14th of August. So perhaps it's that we will reassess a self-love matter, which is sort of tied to our insecurities or rejections, or it's that we will gain an even deeper perspective about really how we accept ourselves. Then again, maybe there is something that we aren't really willing to face. Okay, now Venus, of course, is part of a different Venus will be part of a different story. Okay, I'm talking about Mars making the trine to Chiron as well, but Venus will of course enter Leo on the 5th of June, and so it will be part of this different story, this different chapter. I have talked about Venus retrograde in a video. I will be talking more in detail about Venus retrograde tomorrow, like I said. But yeah, I just think that with the retrograde between Venus and Chiron, it's looking at things in a whole new, like intimate, really intimate level, and looking at that sense of love and real healing, and even thinking here about the type of compassion that we have for that. Just there's something more sensitive I'm getting from both Chiron and Venus being retrograde. So that is perhaps something to consider. I'll probably talk more about it, but I just wanted to highlight that because that is sort of like a little date that I noticed coming up. And I'll look more into that. And then also, that will be the day after the inferior conjunction. So The inferior conjunction takes place when both Venus retrograde and the Sun are conjunct. And the inferior conjunction will take place on the 13th of August. And that looks at this strengthening, this rebirth, this powerful renewal to do with those Venus and Leo themes of self-love, self-acceptance, self-assurance, romance, creativity, our inner child. So if you think about that really intense rebirth that will come up, the day after that, Venus retrograde will then make a trine to Chiron retrograde, and that will really highlight this opening of, I would see it as an opening of a wound, of this sort of opening of something very vulnerable, and something very sensitive that can be addressed with this. Do you know what? Protection, this sort of protection. This is what I'm hearing from this. Because when I even think about Leo even more, I mean, Leo is such a strong sign. It's such a sign where it's like, when you are a part of my life, you're in it, and I'm going to be loyal to you, and I'm going to show you that loyalty, and I'm going to respect you. So I think there is something here about really, really going within during that time, and having a good look at ourselves and being very honest, but then having this moment of, I've got you, like I've got you, and you're so worthy. Okay, so like I said, this is a moon of hope. This is a moon of believing, believing that things will improve and that they will work out exactly how they're supposed to. I have had such a difficulty wrapping my head around this idea. And again, this goes back to how nuanced things can be, right? But I have had such a difficulty with this idea because I think that there are many layers to this. Sorry, just made a weird noise with my mouth. But I think it goes back to faith and really believing that things will turn out. And I don't want to sound naive when I say this, because a lot of the times, if I'm being really realistic, right? Maybe this is my Capricorn energy, maybe. But a lot of the times things don't work out the way we want, no matter how much we believe that they will. But then again, is that a part of me that I need to address, where I need to kind of think about, can I just be too negative, or is it that it's about me welcoming more of this? No, it's going to be, I can be positive. I can be positive about this situation. I just have such a complex sort of relationship with positive thinking and having a positive mindset. But then I did say in the June horoscopes video that it's this whole thing of, well, why not think positive? Why not believe that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to? Really, why not just give it a try? Right? So basically, I think that this moon is going to highlight these very messages and these themes for us collectively. Okay. Let me just take a drink of water. Okay, so Venus, of course, will oppose Pluto. So Venus will be in Cancer, right? So that's going to oppose Pluto retrograde. And then it's also going to make a sextile to Uranus. So this could be where during this full moon, we are forced to sit with uncomfortable emotions. Maybe I need to take a little bit from this, following on from what I just said. Uncomfortable emotions. Maybe we can observe, be the observer of certain emotions, or we can gain different insights about our emotions. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing this. Following on from what I was just talking about. And then also, we can perhaps have this power within us to release emotions, certain emotions, and to move toward the future. So releasing certain emotions to do with perhaps society, to do with groups that we're a part of, to do with friendships we're a part of, and also looking here at we cannot control other people's emotions and feelings. And there is this sort of observation then, being able to observe and recognize, you can't really control how other people are feeling. Just all you can do is, okay, observe, assess, and maybe there will be this part of this full moon where it sort of feels like we're being tested a lot, or we're being triggered a lot, or there are all of these sudden emotional moments that make us have to look at things in a whole new way, even assessing other points of view when it comes to our security, connection, care, support, warmth. And then, like I said, Venus will enter Leo on the 5th of June. So that will be the day after this full moon. So the tone, the message will change to really what is in it for me here. We'll talk more about this, of course, when Venus does oppose Pluto retrograde. Actually, we'll be talking about that in the Venus retrograde. When Venus does oppose Pluto retrograde, but we'll be talking more about this tomorrow over at the Cosmic Warriors Club. All right, so let's move along. So we will be going through each of the signs. I realize that I've been talking for quite a while, but yes, we're moving along here. Mercury will also conjunct Uranus, and Jupiter will be in Taurus. And Jupiter, like I said, is the dispositor of this full moon. So this could look like us having this really open and honest conversation in order to gain greater clarity, greater understanding about our position, about a financial situation, about a security situation, questioning why people do the things they do, maybe as a way to gain feedback, as a way to gain something from that observation or from those questions. And then that can be really helpful. Maybe this is really a full moon of looking at, okay, different approaches, different options, different strategies, new ideas, welcome change, welcome growth, but being slow, gradual, with intention. I just want to draw from an experience with this. What I've been really trying to home in on and recognize lately is looking at my intentions behind why I do certain things. And this is going to be such a big theme with Jupiter being in Taurus. So with me, thinking about here, before I start a project, for example, what is the intention behind that? And also, how do I feel before starting that project? How do I feel before sharing a certain message? Do I feel calm? Do I feel centered? Do I feel grounded? Or do I feel fearful? Am I coming from a place of insecurity, or am I coming from a place of lack? Really being able to address, what energy are we putting into things, and how that can actually change the sort of energy that we get out of it, that comes back in a way to us. Also looking at us seeing the bigger picture about our security, about our resources, about our livelihood. These messages are huge during this full moon, especially because, of course, the North Node will be conjunct Jupiter too. And then, like I said, be an observer and then hold your focus, steady, patient. There's still this patient Taurus energy here with Jupiter being in Taurus. And new ideas can be sparked, and a new vision can be created. Yes, a new vision can be created. So I just see this as opportunity. Opportunity is perhaps quite a key word during this full moon. Okay, so like I said, there is the grand fixed cross still happening. We're still feeling it. Still feeling this grand fixed cross. And it's been super strong since Mars entered Leo on the 20th of May. So for the last 2 weeks, we have felt this fire in our stomachs, right? This fire in our stomachs to make things happen, to be powerful, to be determined, um, just yeah, to make something happen, and to want to push forward with courage. But of course, there's been a lot of that stagnation, that resistance, having to sit with certain emotions, or even just having to sit with things that we can't change right now. And with Venus also being there in Cancer, this could be during this full moon where it's like, okay, there's some conflict here between grit mentality and personal empathy, between what the crowd is doing versus how I personally feel about something. Perhaps be kind of cautious then, because if we consider how there is the grand fire trine, especially with Moon and Mars being a part of it, it could be where we get into something that we find hard to back out of. It's like, rah, I'm gonna let you know my feelings about something. But then we're left with, oh, maybe I just, okay, I shouldn't. And this is maybe why it's good to be an observer, right? Because, when you really bring this supercharged emotional energy to something, and then you kind of know that that's the energy you're bringing. You're sort of thinking, well, what did you expect to get from loads of other people? People are going to feel a certain way about it. I just feel like during this full moon, everyone's going to feel a certain way about something. Yeah, yeah. However, this could also be where we try to consider, okay, like, let's try to work as a team here, or let's try to consider themes of belonging and togetherness, right? Let's see where we can connect, where we can relate. Maybe there is something transformative about this. And really, how is the group feeling? And being genuine in that approach, being really genuine and with checking in on people, and maybe even recognizing, what, this person is experiencing their own thing. They have their own ideas of life, their own understanding, their own walk of life. And I'm different. I'm different. I've been through this and this, but it's trying to kind of come from a place of, I don't fully know what you're going through or what you've been through, but I'm here to listen. I'm here to empathize a bit. Now, that's not to say, obviously, that we should put up with people being just rude and mean and whatever you want to say. But yeah, I still do think that this is a full moon worth paying attention to when it comes to considering, others, and how everyone is going to feel how they feel. This could even be where there is tension between how society is changing, right? So if we look at Pluto retrograde in Aquarius versus how we as individuals want to assert ourselves. So looking at Mars there as well, being in Leo. Yeah, themes of ego, themes of individuality, group mentality, group goals as well. What does the group want? What's your personal role within the group? How do you express yourself as an individual within the group? And then with Jupiter being there, this sort of brings truth and applying ourselves in practical ways. But it can also look at the resistance. It can add to this resistance, this stubbornness, not wanting to change. And this within itself leads me onto this stuff. Um, Pernell Bobby said, my intention behind the why, and is there fear versus nervous excitement and satisfaction? Yes. Yes. And then let me see. I realize that I have not read through many of these comments today, folks. Just flying through this today. Oh, yes. Okay. Dogma, you got that cleared up. Something is real, is good coming, being and feeling, keeping you afloat. It's good to know you have it too. Dogma is an authority-laying principle. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for helping with explaining what dogma is. The meaning of the name Hannah seems to me to be very Neptune in Pisces. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, but okay. This Grand Cross, I was called to revisit your midheaven. You feel as if I can unlock something in order to move forward. You're in a stuckness. If you can, okay. Well, I hope you become unstuck. Yeah. Are we on any signs? No, we're not on any signs right now. We're going to get to the signs. Right. So this is what I was saying. This is what leads me on to this. So there's going to be this T square between the sun, moon, and Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. And then Hannah means favor, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I did not know that, Purnell. That's really interesting. Yeah, right. So Saturn is going to station retrograde from the 17th of June. And I think that what this is sort of pointing toward is really relaxing and getting into a place of ease and less resistance. I'm serious. Okay, full honesty, right? The past 2 months, maybe 3 months, my patience has been tested like no other. Things have just not been as consistent, as steady, as comfortable. And with Saturn being in Pisces, what I have really liked about it is being able to get to this place of what will be, will be. You know, I could push myself so beyond my limits in order to make something happen. But what if this Saturn and Pisces energy is suggesting a different way? You know, is it worth it, right? Is it worth it to really stress out about a situation that could just be for a short period of time, but to get stressed out about a situation and to really push, and then just to become mentally drained and exhausted. And I get that when we realistically think about it, that is life, right? That is life. We have to readjust, we have to try new things, we have to kind of see, you know, how can I get out of this stagnation? What can I do here? But Pisces Pisces is so much about trusting. And whilst Sagittarius looks at having faith, right? There is faith when it comes to Sagittarius. There is this inner faith, this strong inner faith when it comes to Pisces. And there's also this ability to quiet the mind, to experience inner peace. Even when I talk about this, I'm like, no, but that's so unrealistic and it doesn't fit in with the realities of the world. And then I'm like, but that's what Pisces is here to teach us. Pisces, that's what makes Pisces, is that it looks at spiritual wisdom. And at the same time, yes, it's good to consider, okay, what is practical and what is realistic? You can't deny those things. But for me, I'm really trying to focus in on less resistance, just try to relax, try to calm the mind. So I think with the full moon in Sagittarius, with this mutable T-square, there is this message of, okay, breathe. There's a lot going on up here during this season with Gemini season. It's very much in the head. And then the Saturn in Pisces energy is trying to remind us, you know, of the emotional maturity we've made, of the progress we've made when it comes to our spiritual selves, our spiritual lives. Yeah, considering also the spiritual sides of life. And I would also say with this follows on from the previous slide, be cautious of avoidance. be cautious of avoidance and burying our heads in the sand, because that's the thing about Pisces too. It's like, no, no, I don't want to look at that. No. That's another thing as well. Again, nuance. But you could be in a situation where you you know that something has to budge. You know that something you're doing isn't working. Going back to the whole beating a dead horse, you know that thing isn't serving you anymore, or it's just maybe not the right thing for you at this moment. But Pisces can kind of go, "Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's all fine." You turn a blind eye. You don't want to look at it. So I'm really trying to make this presentation balanced. I'm trying to look at both sides of things. I'm trying to consider different ways of viewing things. But at the same time, I hope I'm not contradicting myself constantly. I probably am. but basically, the Saturn and Pisces energy, especially with the T-square, it can look at, okay, there's some sort of refusal to accept the reality, dependencies, delusions, addictions. What is your emotional, what is it, your emotional vice, your the thing that you cling to as a way to escape a situation, perhaps as a way to escape yourself. Yeah, Saturn is teaching us to face the hard stuff, the heavy stuff. Do you know what? Maybe there is a lesson for me to learn in this. Maybe there is, because I just said there the past few months has been extra stagnant, and my patience has been tested a lot. And then it's sort of like, okay, well, I have pushed and I've tried and I've even gotten to a place of, you know what? I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna step back. I'm not gonna try so much. I'm gonna relax more. But then maybe it's that I haven't actually considered something completely different, something completely new. Maybe there is a certain thing that isn't being fully addressed. And maybe Saturn in Pisces during this full moon will help us kind of look at, right, okay, this is where you're being kind of delusional right now. Yeah, the stuff that we avoid and the stuff that we do not want to admit to ourselves. Hate it. I'm joking. Running away from any responsibilities, any commitments that we have, watching your escape patterns closely. It says there, closely. Though to be fair, we often don't even recognize those things within ourselves. Um, Maybe because they're so subconscious. But maybe this is why it's perhaps a good idea to journal, or to maybe ask people within your life, for their sort of thoughts about the way they see you, or considering what your projections are. Even being in a very therapeutic setting can really help us when it comes to diving into our subconscious and our psyche. Meditation can also help, from quieting the mind. Just even having some time that isn't so much about being busy and busy and busy, that can maybe even help us gain greater clarity. And let me just double check. Yes, so this is the last slide that I want to talk about before we look at your horoscopes. Thank you so much for being here today, by the way. So Saturn will sextile Jupiter, and Neptune will also sextile Mercury and Uranus. So Saturn and Jupiter, this combination over the next year, will provide us with many valuable insights about our security on so many levels. And this is not just to do with our physical security. This also looks at emotional, psychological, spiritual security, okay? Because Saturn, of course, is in Pisces. But yeah, there will be this combination between Jupiter and Saturn, in that there will be a sextile between signs. So Jupiter will be in Taurus, then Saturn there will be in Pisces. So sign-wise, there will be a sextile, and Jupiter then can invite ease and slow results. So there's that ease, that steadiness, there's that strength, that determination as well when it comes to Taurus. And then with Saturn, this can look at inviting spiritual and emotional lessons. And then Neptune Okay, so Neptune is sextile Mercury and Uranus. Neptune dares us to dream and to seek something higher. So perhaps during this full moon, there's this feeling of, I have a dream, I have a vision, I have something that I would like to ground in reality. And Jupiter being in Taurus can help us do that. And then if we also think about this Neptune sextile Mercury energy, perhaps during this full moon, we can just allow ourselves to tap into something more creative and beautiful and artistic and enjoying, appreciating. Yeah, it's just, I'm always so conflicted over, how do I say this? I'm always so conflicted over taking a step back, resetting, or choosing just not to push so much. So more leaning away and accepting that things are going to work out as they may. So I'm conflicted between that often versus, okay, but I need to do something here. Like I physically need to do something here and to act. And yet the full moon in Sagittarius is actually highlighting the real benefits of just relaxing, recharging, indulging, playing. I guess we are just so we're so caught up in this do mentality. And you know, yesterday, right? I'll just an example. This is how I explain things so much more from examples. Yesterday, it was my day off. Okay? I still did a couple of things work-wise, but I said to myself, I am going to lie on the sofa and I'm going to just watch a TV show, right? Nothing serious. Just I just need this. I just need to chill right now. But about 15 minutes into the show, I was feeling guilty. Like I need to be doing something. And then I watched that thought, right? Be the observer. I watched that thought and I thought, why am I feeling like this? Why am I not giving myself the permission to just relax? And I'm sure a lot of people go through this. There is this guilt of not being this achiever and pushing to make things happen. And just the past few months have been so incredibly humbling. So incredibly humbling for many of us. In that sometimes in life there are going to be moments in life when things are not going to go the way you planned it. They're not going to move the way you want. And it's just so interesting because we can often feel in society like it's just this continuous up motion, right? Just right, well, when you get this, then you get this, and then you get this, and then you get this, and you just go higher and you progress, status, climb the ladder, success. But you see, Saturn in Pisces is teaching us so much about how things are not so linear. And that, of course, can be difficult to wrap our heads around because we're so conditioned to see life in this very much, this is the one way. This is the way you go, and that's it. Yes, there are, of course, real biological factors to this, like physiological factors to this. But I can't help but think that Pisces invites just more of this fluidity, rhythms, following our intuition, of course. So yeah, I think during this full moon in Sagittarius, there's hope. There's hope. There's something perhaps bigger that we didn't see before, and things are going to be illuminated. We're going to kind of see the bigger picture in a whole new way. But at the same time, I think there is a message or a theme to do with just letting go, resisting, less resistance, sort of like thinking about all of this in imagery, and it's hard sometimes to break it down and in through my mouth. Okay, so like I said, Jupiter will conjunct the North Node. And so it could be where we are feeling hopeful about a new way of showing up, okay? That could be financially, practically, sensually as well. But overall here, folks, this is a moon of inspiration, adventure, and great expansion, okay? It's a very philosophical moon too. I hope I did not go off too much on a rant, but I was just, basically, I just try to break everything down that's in my brain, and it takes time. I have this Virgo rising and it takes time. I also have Saturn conjunct my Mercury. So yeah, it takes time for me to see that vision in my head and to try and communicate it outwardly. Okay, so let's get into your horoscopes. Okay, before I do, I'm just reading through these. That's left. Perseverance. Yeah. The moon sign of Capricorn. Ancient structures, okay. Especially not for projectors. Pushing won't work. Oh, it's such a hard lesson for me. Seriously, Pernell, such a hard lesson. Okay. Yeah, it's just like I really want to be able to communicate this message of yes, hope and things are going to get better, but then I also don't want to come across as really insensitive, to what other people's personal experiences. Right. Anyway, so let's get into your horoscopes. Aries, so this full moon is going to take place in your 9th house. So this could be here, Aries, where you are really resetting things to do with your beliefs, your deeply held beliefs. Maybe it is also that you reap rewards to do with higher learning, higher knowledge, higher education, even reaping rewards to do with broadcasting, publishing. If it is, for example, that you have been working on something that you've been publishing over the past while, maybe you will see some type of reward. Even if we think back to about 6 months ago, when there was the new moon in Sagittarius. I can't quite pinpoint the date. I could look it up. But with the new moon in Sagittarius about 6 months ago, perhaps, do you know what? I'm going to look it up. I've got this Virgo rising and I'm like, no, I'm not just throwing out information and then being like, that's wrong. Okay, overview. I just want to see when the last new moon in Sagittarius was. Okay, here, yes, 23rd of November. 23rd of November 2022 was the last new moon in Sagittarius. So perhaps it was that then you set new intentions to do with higher learning and higher education back then, and then you're going to reap rewards come this full moon in Sagittarius Aries. Also, perhaps it will be that you will feel strongly about your beliefs, about sharing a message, about teaching. Maybe you'll even feel more excited, enthusiastic. You'll feel more pumped up, energized, uplifted. And perhaps also there is something here to do with you closing chapters, to do with maybe anything that's too exaggerative. If we consider maybe you taking on too much or spreading yourself too wide, maybe this will be a way for you to really bring attention to such things, especially with respect to your teachings and your publications. Where is it that you're spreading yourself too wide? And maybe you can change direction, or it could be essentially that you feel just more uplifted and hopeful about these things. Okay, Taurus. Taurus, this full moon will take place in your 8th house. So this could be where you are resetting a matter to do with intimacy, vulnerability. Maybe it is that you'll feel really, really strongly about intimacy and closeness and connection. And as well, it's that you will close chapters to do with intimacy. Maybe it is here, Sagittarius, that Taurus, maybe it is that you often you can give people the benefit of the doubt, or you tend to see the good in them too much at times, or perhaps it's that you often don't recognize how much you overextend yourself for others, and then how that can lead you quite drained. Um, but then at the same time, maybe there's something here about you illuminating what is hidden. So bringing attention to what is hidden when it comes to how you overextend, when it comes to anything that's too dogmatic, or intellectually superior. Really assessing, okay, how open am I to listening and understanding other people? Can I be perhaps too stuck in my ways? Am I not allowing myself to grow here, really? And maybe there will even be this transformation in a way to do with these things for you, because something does move a little, or because you feel more like, oh, okay, now I can see the progress, or now I feel like things are moving in the right direction. And it's interesting because, of course, the North Node and Jupiter will both be in your first house during this full moon as well. So maybe what this will even really illuminate is your life path, your aims, your ambitions, what else you wish to add to your life just overall. Okay, Gemini. So, Gemini, this full moon is going to take place in your 7th house. So, perhaps you will reap rewards when it comes to your relationships, your one-to-one relationships, your partnerships. You will feel lucky or blessed or hopeful, or you'll feel more like there's a bigger connection, or maybe it's that you will recognize that there is a bigger picture to your relationships, especially during this full moon. You can kind of see this future, or it's that you will consider the future of your relationships. Maybe you'll even consider the future of your clients and your customers. You'll really think over, okay, well, what is the bigger picture when it comes to such people? And is there a way in which I can expand myself and grow? Or is it that I'm closing chapters to do with overextending myself for certain clients and customers? Maybe I need to raise my prices, or maybe I need to um, get a promotion, or maybe I need something more from other people, or it's addressing this sense of moreness, moreness, this moreness, this overextendingness. That's not even a word. When it comes to other people. Yeah. And what else can I say about you, Gemini? Gemini. And maybe as well, you will reset how you show up when it comes to your relationship. So, this type of message you share, the teachings you offer, this type of stuff. Okay. Cancer. So, this full moon will happen in your 6th house. So, I see this as you, Cancer, perhaps reaping rewards when it comes to travel. So, traveling for work, or even just looking at your occupation in general, how it is that you wish to have space and you wish to have freedom when it comes to your work. You're that type of person who needs to feel like you have that freedom, you have the space to roam and to be trusted with certain duties, etc. So, yeah, maybe it is that you will reap rewards when it comes to these things. Maybe it actually will be that you feel more settled. You feel more like, okay, yes, things are moving along, or there's growth here happening within work, or I'm feeling more positive within work. Or it could be that you're going to see this theme throughout, but it could be that you assess where you are overextending yourself, where it is that you're taking on too much. What can be released, what can be reset here when it comes to all of your daily activities, when it comes to your routines, your habits. I mean, Cancer, you have so much going on for you, like pretty much all of the time. And we see this with Sagittarius in your 6th house. So, yeah, maybe it will be that you will sort of illuminate these types of things. And maybe you'll even create these changes. So, changes in your habits when it comes to such things. Maybe something needs to sort of move or be readjusted. And the last thing I'll say here is resetting your attitudes toward your health and maybe making it more of a priority, or considering the bigger picture when it comes to really looking after your health. Leo. So, Leo, the full moon will happen in your 5th house. So, do you know what, Leo? I see this as quite a playful time for you, quite an enjoyable time, or wanting to be playful, wanting to experience greater joy, or even reaping rewards to do with your creativity, to do with pleasure, to do with happiness and romance. Maybe it will be that you decide, you know what, I need a trip away. Just let me go on holiday. Let me go on vacation somewhere. I need away. And maybe it's well deserved. It is well deserved, Leo. You need some time to spread your wings, to try something new. Or it's that you will close chapters to do with um any deeply held beliefs you have about play and fun. And these beliefs may be tied to something that is over exaggerative. So, um, this could be where you feel like, you know what, I am giving so much to other people. I'm giving so much of my time, so much of my energy. I mean, this is you. This is you, Leo. So it could feel like, I'm just constantly giving, but I feel like I need a bit of something for me right now. I really need to assess my needs, my goals. And of course, that Leo energy in the 1st house, Mars will be in Leo during this full moon. So there is an element of you truly considering yourself during this full moon. Okay, so Virgo, this full moon is going to take place in your 4th house. So this is going to showcase a period where, well, perhaps you're going to illuminate any strong feelings you have about home, about security, safety. Maybe also you will release something to do with this part of you that can really become so swept away by home life matters, by family life matters, and even considering reaping rewards to do with family or home. It could even be here, Virgo, where you have these aspirations, these certain desires to want to live somewhere or to move somewhere or to travel to somewhere. Um, but this is a full moon of you. Well, I would say perhaps recognizing that you even want these things in the first place. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about this myself. I'm just kind of going into my own head. I'm thinking, yeah. But yeah, basically, I think there could be a situation where it's like, right, okay, it's time to reset how I do things when it comes to these aspirations with regard to home and family and where I want to live and where I want to travel to, and just finally getting to this point of, right, okay, I'm going to be hopeful, I'm going to be positive. But then, of course, at the same time, perhaps it's looking at where you can overextend yourself to when it comes to the home, and even looking at perhaps you getting outdoors for a little bit, especially during this full moon. Get outside, try something else, try something different. Okay, so Libra, this full moon will take place in your third house. Okay, so this could be where you reap rewards to do with education, learning, so teaching as well. And perhaps even back in November, when there was that new moon in Sagittarius, you set new intentions to do with how you teach, or to do with the education that you receive. And then there's this whole thing of, but you know what, yeah, I'm being rewarded for the effort that I put in, or things are actually starting to work out a little bit, or there's a small fortune, or I feel more hopeful, I feel more positive about this. And then another thing is perhaps it's that you will reset any beliefs that you have just in general, right? You've got Sagittarius in the third house. So resetting or reassessing what your beliefs are about yourself, about the world around you. And even if we look at the third house through a lens of your local area, your local city, short distance travel, thinking about the people within these areas and your beliefs toward those people, or the generosity from those people, or the ways in which you want to show up to give generously of yourself toward these people too. And yeah, maybe it's that you will feel more of this hopefulness, this sort of positivity, this optimism to do with your peers, siblings, if you have any, thinking about people, your neighbors, people within your close environment. And it could be that there is something that you really want to change there. So this full moon can give this level of like enthusiasm or encouragement where it's like, right, okay, I'm finally ready to make this change. And then Scorpio. So Scorpio, this full moon is going to happen in your second house. So I see this as you possessing very strong emotions about your earning potential, about your resources. Maybe it is that there are some rewards here to do with your resources and your materials, right? So if we think back to the new moon in Sagittarius at the end of November, perhaps you set new intentions to do with a particular way of earning money. And maybe this time around, so coming up to this full moon in Sagittarius, things are moving, or you feel like, actually, yeah, there is a change there, and I feel like I'm being rewarded in some way. Or it's that your whole outlook changes in a much more healthy, hopeful way. Um, it is interesting, um, because for you, Scorpio, of course, the South Node has been in your sign. And then with the Grand Fix Cross, it can just, I think you're at this point where it feels like literally nothing is moving, and I'm being forced to sit with something. But maybe, you know what, this full moon is going to bring this boost, hopefully, hopefully a boost, or just even just this boost to your self-esteem. And of course, this can extend to things like your skills and your talents, right? Of course, the second house, it looks at our resources and our materials, but it also can look at our skills and talents. So yeah, looking at then this level of enthusiasm or positivity about your skills, your talents, um, and your self-esteem too. And you know what, as well, perhaps this is about you resetting something to do with your earning. And what I mean by this is feeling more aligned with what you're worth, with what you wish to earn, okay? And having this courage, or feeling inspired to do something bigger, or to look at the bigger picture, or to gain a deeper understanding about where the future is headed when it comes to your earning, when it comes to your skills. And of course, Mars being in your 10th house as well, Scorpio, during this, I see this as you being in this position of, right, okay, I gotta be a leader here. I gotta keep asserting myself here. Of course, you'll have all that energy coming into your 10th house in the next while, which we will talk more about over at the Cosmic Warriors Club. But basically, this is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. Okay, so Sagittarius, this full moon is going to happen in your first house. Okay, so I would say here, Sagittarius, that this is perhaps is a full moon you've been waiting for quite a while. I mean, if we consider how the South Node has been in your 12th house, and if we also think about how Pluto has been in your 3rd house, it's like, right, okay, when am I going to get the information I need here so that I can properly move forward with something here? But the full moon in Sagittarius highlights, okay, right, reaping rewards possibly to do with your aims, your ambitions, to do with your goals, your direction, actually feeling like, yes, I feel more settled here. I feel good about myself. I've been perhaps worrying a little bit about things, or experiencing some self-doubt. Of course, Sagittarius, you can still experience self-doubt and fear and worry about things. So it can almost feel as though you've been quite tested lately. But with the full moon being in your sign, in your first house, it can just feel like you're being energized by something bigger, maybe by feeling more hopeful, more optimistic. But of course, this could also be where you're also having to address what needs to be reset when it comes to the whole thing of shooting your arrows toward too many targets. Yeah, they're like I was saying earlier, you can overdo it, Sagittarius. And then Capricorn, so this full moon is going to happen in your 12th house. All right. So this is a time, I think, where you're going to become very imaginative. You're going to really look at the symbolism of things. I think you're going to go inward quite a bit during this full moon, and really assessing your future aspirations, or just assessing, you know what, the inner faith, your inner faith. And I just find it I find it interesting with you, Capricorn, because whilst you have this Capricorn energy in your first house, you have the Sagittarius energy in your 12th. And so inwardly, you can actually be really hopeful and optimistic about things, and you can have more of this enjoyable, happy-go-lucky, like, inner world that is often not necessarily seen above the surface. So perhaps during this full moon, things will be illuminated when it comes to this part of you, or it's like subconsciously you will just feel like, oh, inspiration, I just want to do all the things. But yeah, it's also, I think, about you taking some time to retreat, to recharge, taking some time to just have a moment, to have a moment maybe even of greater clarity, greater understanding, and perhaps releasing releasing anything that is too over the top when it comes to your dreams in a way. Um, and possibly even reaping rewards at the same time when it comes to your dreams. If we think back to the new moon being in Sagittarius toward the end of November 2022, perhaps it was that you set these new intentions. Um, and so yeah, this time around, it could be that there's some sort of message, right? This profound message comes to you, and you're like, yes, that is it. That's the thing. Right. Thank you so much, universe. Yeah, and I would also say with this one, feeling quite strongly about your spiritual life. You're such spiritual people. I see this Capricorn, such spiritual people, but just outwardly it maybe doesn't appear appear that way so much. Okay. So Aquarius, this full moon in Sagittarius is going to happen in your 11th house. All right. So illuminating then the ways in which you share within groups, the way you show up within your teams, within groups, within your alliances, possibly releasing anything too dogmatic or too too judgmental. I mean, Aquarius, come on. Yeah, it's just, what can I say? Aquarians, we can be judgmental at times. I mean, we've got that Sagittarius energy in the 11th. But basically, I think, oh yeah, and then of course Virgo in the 8th. But still, I think there's something here about you resetting the judgment in a way. And I think this resetting of judgment can even extend toward, your hopes and visions for the future. And this is quite interesting because I was talking earlier about, feeling so conflicted about the future and thinking positively about it. But then it's also this whole question of, well, why not just try to think positively? But yet, Aquarius, you can have this very realistic side to your personality as well. You're also Saturn ruled. So it can be this whole thing with Aquarius and Capricorns too, where it's like, well, um, I'll believe it when I see it, this type of thing. There's a lot more nuance to that, obviously. Um, but yeah, there can be that when it comes to these signs. So perhaps this is about you releasing some type of judgment and instead just being like, you know what, I am so open. I'm so ready, right? I am ready when it comes to a new chapter. I am ready when it comes to my um when it comes to my visions and my hopes for the future. And perhaps it is that some of your hopes and visions for the future involves being able to teach, to broadcast, to publish, to share with the masses. This is you, Aquarius. So basically what I'm trying to say here, Aquarius, is this full moon is going to illuminate these very things for you, and there could be this type of reset or a release or a type of renewal of sorts. Okay, so lastly, Pisces. Pisces, this full moon is going to happen in your 10th house of your reputation, your achievements, your ambitions. And Pisces, my goodness, you can have this really larger than life persona, this larger than life reputation that you give off to the world. You can come across as such explorers, as such adventurers. So this could be where you reap rewards when it comes to your reputation, or maybe it's that a certain achievement is gained to do with adventure, to do with expanding yourself, trying something new. And then I'm also kind of thinking back to that new moon in Sagittarius as well toward the end of November. And I'm thinking about the types of intentions you may have set to do with your reputation, your achievements, things that you really wanted to, achieve long term, etc. And, maybe it's that things are going to be illuminated. Things are going to become a lot more clear coming up to this full moon, or it's that you will release something to do with overextending yourself, taking things too far, looking at being overly idealistic at times, Pisces. But still, I see this as you feeling quite strongly about the next step when it comes to your ambitions. And if we also think about the 10th house through this lens of your life mission, your life work, yeah, it could be that there are big leaps, big changes. There is a sort of expansion, or it's that you will just reset how you show up in terms of, okay, am I being really positive about this, or am I trying to keep this inner faith here? Yeah, so yeah, I just think it's so interesting with you, Pisces, because Abraham Hicks is a Pisces. I'm pretty sure she's a Pisces. And I've mentioned her a couple times, but Abraham Hicks is the she's a lecturer, she's a writer, I'm pretty sure, but she's the one who often talks about manifestation and the real powers of manifestation. Um and she's written so many books about it, and there's so many lectures about it on YouTube. And to me, when I kind of think about this, with her being a Pisces, there is something about your sign, Pisces, where it's like, right, okay, just be open to receiving. Receive, allow. So yeah, maybe during this full moon in Sagittarius, there will be this sort of expansion tied to allowing and receiving. And then, of course, there is a sort of reset when it comes to such things too. Okay, so that's the full moon in Sagittarius, folks. That's all of your horoscopes today. Now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here so much. I hope you've enjoyed this session today. And if you're interested in joining this talk about Venus retrograde in Leo, that will be tomorrow night. You can go to cosmicwarriorsclub.com. And if you're interested in any of my services, you can go to hannahselsewhere.com. And of course, if you did enjoy this session today, if you enjoyed it, you can always buy me a coffee by clicking on the little link there. The link is also down below. And that is pretty much everything. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. If you are a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you like this video, give it a like, comment down below, all that good stuff. And I'll just quickly go over these comments quickly before I go. Have a attachments to home and family. Interesting. Make precise decisions on the arrows. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jason. That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much, Martin, as well. Yeah. So that is me. Thank you again so much for being here. I am really resisting this urge to say this, but I really hope it wasn't too rambly today. Could I just blame it on Gemini season? No, I can't. But thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back very, very soon. Bye, everyone. Take care.